There are a lot of ways to play Prey. You could stealth your way through the ship, being a savior to every person you find. You could become an alien and use the corpses of fallen crewmates to do your bidding. Or you could just whack shit with a piece of metal and see what happens. Can you beat Prey 2017 with only a wrench? Hello Morgan, it's me, you, and it's our first day on the job at TranStar Industries. They gave birth to the technology that will one day make us all gods. But for now, I'm a lab rat. Alex Yu, my brother, commented that my eye was full of red, and as an employee for a company that does business, my job for the day is to jump through 4 very pretty hoops. First, when asked to hide, I turned my back and hid the front of my face behind the back of my head. I missed the second button, pouted for the rest of the time in that room, answered a couple trick questions, got the important question right. This guy's coffee was a little too black, as was my vision, and I woke up ready to start day 2 down at the old salt mine. But nothing is what it seems. This life is but a dream. January, my mechanical conscience wasn't letting me go down without a fight. With my wrench in hand, I was free of the simulation and could begin piecing together what happened. Based on all available evidence, I can say with a high degree of confidence that I'm probably not gonna get that lanyard I was promised on my first day. Equally as important as that lanyard is the Typhon Infestation aboard Talos 1. The Typhon are Ditto. If a Ditto got bullied as a kid, they disguise themselves in plain sight, have tentacles, and can easily overwhelm the most experienced plumber if they attack in groups. On the topic of combat, the wrench-only restriction will itself be restricted to combat. If I'm damaging an enemy, it must be caused by the wrench, or a moron accidentally sneezing while testing the pin strength of a grenade. Body augmentations called neuromods can be unlocked by harvesting slugs to upgrade your ability to be a person. Some make the wrench do more damage, some increase health, some make you stronger, some even increase jump height. If you can do a thing, there's probably a neuromod to make you better at it. They're optional in the same way your senses are an optional part of being alive. In the Talos 1 lobby, I upgraded my health a bit and journeyed upstairs to the Morgan U offices to uncover the truth. Weapons can be upgraded as well, not the wrench though, so keep your socks on. Got real when I upgraded my jump height by 25%. That was when I revealed that January is a backup of myself created to help me if I get lost in my mind again. Confused? So was I. I broke the glass before I learned what came next. Big Bro tried to settle me down, and I set off for Dr. Calvino's lab to find a way to unsever the connection to the looking glass server I just broke. Before that though, crafting. There is no money in Prey. We're in a space station that's been taken over by aliens. This is where money goes to die. You want something, you get down on your hands and knees and you make it like an animal. Everything can be broken down into one of 4 different types of components, and those components can be used to make every usable item in the game, but the schematics for how to craft each item have to be found. And therein lies the beauty of Prey. I have an objective. Get to the hardware lab. How I get there is entirely up to me. The glue gun lets me access places normally only accessible via the stairs. My imagination is now the only thing in my way. You know how dangerous that is. Phantoms are the secondary enemy type in Prey. They and all Typhon class aliens can be stunned with the glue gun. I never used it for that. Not because it wouldn't have been useful, it absolutely would have been a lifesaver on at least a dozen different occasions, but the wrench ain't that bad. 2 to 3 charged whacks can kill a mimic. Phantoms can take up to 6 or more, and cost stamina, as does sprinting. These 2 aliens and I are not the only inhabitants on this ship. Bigger and meaner octopuses are roaming the cabins, waiting to meet me, trying to take down a group of Typhon and running out of stamina so you can't swing or run away, leading to you getting swarmed to death is definitely a way to die that can strike seemingly at any moment. Of all the challenges I've done, this one isn't the worst, but I did have the distinct disadvantage of going in blind. I also had to travel out to dead space to find Dr. Calvino's body and keycard. Based on how useful the additional jump height had been in the first 90 minutes, I maxed out my jump height right around the same time I got the verticality decompressor, which allows me to control my descent when falling for a brief time. Really not necessary at all. Everything I can do, the glue gun can do better. Down in Calvino's workshop, I reset the upset terminal, started wondering how many screens in real life are just one-way mirrors, used my He-Man-like intelligence to sneak into the viewing room of the hardware shop, turned the Talos lobby into my own personal playground, and watched episode 2 of my home movie. Past me told current me that our only path out of this mess is a collective mass suicide. Destroying the ship using mine and Alex's keycards will ruin the Typhon vacation, causing them to go back to wherever they came from. January turned himself physical in accordance with subsection 2F of the employee handbook, pointed me towards deep storage, and I got killed by Garfield's brother because some Typhon are volatile and emit a damaging aura around them. That's where mobility saved my ass. Later in Space Adventures, the alien aliens pull all sorts of messed up tricks out of themselves, and without any other tools besides the wrench, dodging attacks will be essential. I found the Psychoscope down in the sewers of Psychotronics. These goggles let me scan the flood to uncover their weaknesses and become them to a degree. 3 categories of Typhon mods can be bought with neural mods, but each ability has to be unlocked by scanning different aliens. I never used any of these perks. Maybe it was to do a Typhon-only playthrough later, maybe it's because I'm a good Christian boy who don't play with aliens. We play with fire. The neural mods I've mentioned several times come from the Typhon themselves. The creation of alien life set humanity's hopes and dreams in the upper atmosphere of what's possible, but as we've seen, a single mimic breaking free is all it took to Mountain Dew kickstart this revolution. Sacrifices must be made in the name of science to learn how to stop the Typhon. I got lucky that this guy was in the right place at the wrong time. I was hoping that big wiggly guy in the back would stick its tentacles into this guy's ears. I took the guns from the armory to turn into medkits and eyeball injectors, and found Lightning McQueen. Volunteer 12 is the first voltaic phantom encountered, and what a f***ing pushover he is not. The majority of the enemies in Prey are actually kind of a pain in the ass to fight with a wrench. Impossible? Not at all. It just takes a calibrated effort to be good at the game with a wrench. A fully charged smack has a chance to stun any idiot onto the ground, giving you a chance to make a tactical withdrawal from the situation and regroup with your thoughts in guts. The geosynchronous underground transportation circle. Like the slip and slide inside your tummy, the guts of Talos 1 run the entire length of the ship, are used for transporting cargo, and are also filled with cystoids. Get too close and they kamikaze towards you. Out here in the sticks where we get our hands dirty, gravity ain't here to hold your hand. Who wants to touch a dirty hand? That leaves me, wrench guy, to survive a couple 24 suicidal balloons in space. It took a blob of Elmer's finest to stop the blades of this fan. Someone was doing science in the bathroom. That joke was written by longtime Mitten Squad fan, Paul, age 25, from Michigan. Thanks, Paul. You're welcome. I stuck a chip in my suit to upgrade my hover duration, ate shit down at the wrong end of the tunnel, and learned from January that this orange mist loitering in the train yard is called coral because it's cool. Before entering deep storage, I stuffed everything I didn't need into the recycler and made neural mods until the game stopped me from becoming too powerful. Used the rest of my scrap to make medkits, and didn't hesitate for a second when deciding how to spend my brain currency. I upgraded my wrench to do 50% more damage. Thinking I'd just found the keys to the kingdom, I attacked the greenhouse monster and died in seconds. Alex pranked me again by shutting the door to deep storage, then sent 2 ethereal phantoms to end me. To enter deep storage, for real this time, I'd need to hack and slash together enough evidence to convince the door that I'm Danielle Show, or that I have her head and can make it speak. On my way to the crew quarters to find her voice box, I encountered a technopath. Now we're getting into big boy Old Testament territory. Technopaths are tough as f***, have turrets around them, and can fly. If I hadn't gotten bionicles put in my knees earlier today, I probably never would have engaged with a technopath. I did it anyway because I had to. I'm in the volunteer quarters now, looking for Holden Graves' office. He had the neural mod fabrication plan that will let me make more neural mods at crafting stations. Not even a second after I got the plans, a nightmare summoned itself to find me. I pushed a chair in front of the desk and hid under that desk for 3 straight minutes. Killing a nightmare with a wrench doesn't happen when you're me. The nightmare never found me. I did a graceful spacewalk from the volunteer office back to the Arboretum, couldn't get into Alex's computer or his safe, broke some of his stuff in retaliation for that betrayal, got another neural mod out of his own private escape pod, used that mod to increase my strength, searched his safe, and finally entered the crew quarters to start piecing together Danielle's show. 5 recordings are needed to make a nice scrapbook out of Humpty Dumpty. The mission points you towards 5, but there are a couple others that could be found if you're adventurous. I found all 5 of the main recordings and one of the other ones. Whether I needed to do this is a decision for another time. What I will say is that I got the recording in only about 90 minutes. Another nightmare tried to rescue me in the Arboretum. I was in the subconscious of the ship and searched for the micro SD card in the landfill that has the plans to make my arming key that I'll use to nuke us all. Alex saw me head into deep storage and locked me in here. He thought it would be safe. For the average man, it could be. I have no medkits or healing supplies, and an eclectic phantom and technopath are in here with me. The only thing I had with me was my mind, and that was enough to unseal the prototype vault door. In the heart of the subconscious is a backup drive that needs to be installed. Cystoids just happen to be calling this place home now. Radiation is a threat too. It just drains your health if it gets too high, that's about it. Once I installed the backup drive, I flew into a corner as gravity returned, accidentally clipped through the wall, and was in space without a suit. If I ever meet Bill Nye, I'm gonna ask him why I fell to death in space, because the objective was back in the computer lab I couldn't take full advantage of that glitch. Luckily, I still had the Technomorph and the Volcanic Phantom in the area. As a handy element of support, my health slowly regenerates to a low ceiling based on my total health if I'm out of combat for long enough. Once I did whatever it was that needed to be done, Danielle Show decided to waste my lifeline to get me out of deep storage. I'm going into the data vault and getting blasted out into space with the books. Her plan worked like a charm. I was both in space and alive. All she wanted in return was, I don't know. I didn't do whatever it was. I only saved Dr. Igwe to get out of space. His rescue was an accident. A mistake, you might say. In shipping and receiving, I entertained 2 conversations at once. All of my focus was on the situation at hand, not those involved in that situation. I accepted the food on the table as a thank you for me helping out around the ship. We run our business like a family. The boss naturally gets his share of what the employees brought to the party. Someone thought otherwise, and now Dr. Igwe is dead. In a rare instance of having a heart, I reloaded a save and let them live. Spoke to Sarah Elazar, she's the chief of security on Talos 1, who told me the only way to get back to Talos 1 is through Cargo Bay B, which has been sealed full of demons. That door will be unsealed. To paraphrase my audience, the cheese must be unleashed. But I can't be held responsible for what happens after I open that door. I won't have that on my mind. Instead of setting up defenses like turrets and traps, I unsealed the door with the code I remembered from a past life and watched as the Typhon had themselves a nice little picnic. In addition to the phantoms and former people inside the cargo bob, there's also a Weaver. They've been around here and there, but I haven't mentioned them yet. They float, were responsible for creating Danny Phantom, and are the ones leaving the coral all over the station. At this point, blowing up the station is our sole way out of this mess. Alex still has the gravity lifts and the airlock shut down. Disabling the lockdown requires going into the Talos 1 heart and rebooting the reactor. To prepare, I crafted as many neuromods as I could and started picking abilities. I went with Suit Modification 2 for additional inventory space, Leverage 3 to move the biggest objects in the game and to force doors open, Stamina 1 for more stamina, and with my new powers found, took on the Technopath, locking the door to the reactor chamber. Chief Elazar, remember her, died alongside everyone else in the cargo bay, and January just said he admired me for saving them. I knew I made the right call there. Due to circumstance, the Volcanic Phantom in the next room was less nice to me than the Weaver. I turned that back on him and ignored him after it killed me a couple times. We're in the power plant now. Andrew Ryan is somewhere down here, and he will be mine. Between surviving a fall from a great distance and hitting switches to unlock a door, this area gave off some big-time Dwemer Ruin vibes. I found the replacement reactor diverter, installed it, opened the ship back up, and couldn't use gravity to quickly climb out of the reactor chamber. Turrets and a Technopath heard the commotion and came down here to investigate. Killing this Technopath in particular would have taken the remains of a lifetime. I evaded it, passed through the medical bay, got a reward for helping someone, and uncovered the final truth in Alex's office. Neuromods, the things I've been sticking into my brain for hours, have a side effect. When you remove one, your memories are wiped to when you first installed it. If you were a test subject, it would be trivial to make you relive the same day over and over again, which is exactly what's been happening to me. Alex thinks the risks of using Typhon technology are too much, but blowing up Talos 1 will waste trillions of dollars, and all the research going back decades will be lost. He has a plan B: construct a massive neural wave transmitter that will wipe out any Typhon DNA on the molecular level. Of course, nothing is ever simple in the world of business. The board of directors disagreed with one of my plans. In response, they deployed military operators. We can call this the beginning of the end, because it was around here my enjoyment with Prey began to wane. Military operators are the one reason for that. Gravity is a suggestion for them. They respawn infinitely unless you block off the operator dispenser, which I tried to do once and failed at. Their laser does intense damage. They're tough, and most importantly, they attack in groups. I'm sure the stun gun or the glue cannon would have helped. Speaking of things that suck, I never killed that Technopath in deep storage. I was down there to disable the tracking device on my TranStar communicator, and both halves of a crafting table just happened to be in the office. After that encounter in Alex's office, I had a vague idea of what was coming, and used the 19 neuromods I'd been saving to max out my health and my suit's carry weight, disabled the tracker, played in the commander's playroom, saw that even their view of the world is an illusion, and got to work fixing the elevator in the Talos 1 lobby. This is where we fight a Technopath for the first time. I f***ed that thing up up and rode to life support. I got no time to waste. The life of every living thing on this elevator is depending on me. I won't let them down. The weavers are shitting out coral all over the place. It looks nice on occasion, but it gets in the way more often than not. I came all the way to the shuttle bay to meet with Walther Dahl. He was brought in by the board of directors as a human resources specialist. He's gonna handle me if I can get inside his ship. With the sentinel beams firing from all directions, I flew up to the ship and tried to fall inside the door. I got so caught up in the idea that every little aspect of prey has to have some f***ing fancy way to complete it. Initially, I got all 6 of my brain cells to work in perfect unison. Together, the 7 of us spent 20 minutes trying to hit the green button to open the door on the ship. I took a bit of a breather after that, didn't break any mirrors, and finished the mission the proper way. It's easy, just kill every military monitor in the room so they don't steal your focus. This exact situation is why you don't point laser pointers or flashlights towards the sky when birds are overhead. It messes with their inner compass. Dahl wasn't in the ship. All I got in there was a news bulletin that William Yu, the father of Morgan and I, authorized the extermination of all TranStar employees at the cost of saving technology and living with all the money they made. To fabricate the prototype null-wave transmitter to wipe out the Typhon, Alex needs the data I tried to upload from the coral I scanned out in space. The only hiccup is Casper, Dahl's technical officer, who locked Lexi outside the TranStar system. Kill the officer and all will be good. A nightmare greeted me in the lobby as I got closer to Casper, and for a brief moment I thought he was a friend. But that did not last. Petrified, scared shitless, I hid in the bathroom until the nightmare was over. Those were 3 incredibly valuable minutes the crewmates will never get back. They were making their way to the escape pods when Dahl cut off their oxygen, leaving me with a choice to make. Do I find out who can hold their breath the longest, or do I save them? I asked my heart what it felt I should do. I left a voicemail, it didn't get back to me on that, so I went to do the right thing anyway. In life support, I grabbed a few drinks and used the bathroom's secret escape tunnel to get a new lap record. Wasted half my health killing a Voltaire Phantom and had 7 minutes left to get into this room. The windows bow down to no man. They ain't breaking for no wrench. Alternatively, you can use a terminal to shut off power to the rockets to remove a pipe stuck in Rocket 3. Then you just reroute the oxygen and leave them to die because that didn't do a goddamn thing. I found out after this video was released that there's a tiny window on the side that I could have broken and crab walked into. I guess I'm a moron for not trying to break a 4th pane of glass after the first 3 didn't break. Content knowing I'd done all I should have, I retraced my steps through the power plant to the Arboretum to meet up with Alex in person for the first time since yesterday morning. He handed me his Destructo disc and reacted to something that hadn't happened yet. Odd. Almost as odd as him losing consciousness when nothing happened. I took that opportunity to root around my brother's pockets and stuffed him back in his freezer. That space worm is coral come to life. Soon the ship will be unrecognizable. It'll be a barren wasteland, or it'll become debris in the atmosphere. I had a decision to make, again. I decided that Alex's dream must go on. His legacy must be fulfilled. I'm making the null-wave transmitter, and all I need is a fabricator. This was the 4th and final hoop I had to jump through. Naturally, to wrap a neat little bow on this challenge, I went all the way back down to the bottom of the reactor chamber in the power plant to recycle my used banana peels into a species-ending grenade, power fucked my way out of the reactor, and took my grenade to the heart of the coral. As I planted it, my inner self saw a series of visions flash before it. January gave a great description of what we're doing here. Assume Alex's plan works. We keep all the technology and think to ourselves that we're ready for any potential threat any other world might throw our way. By killing the Typhon, we got a paper cut in the universal waters. There are sharks out there, and we're just now jumping into the water without a life jacket for the first time. January, an extension of myself, will not allow us to take that risk. If I want to be a good brother, I have to metaphorically kill myself. It had a gun. I made the right choice. The null-wave transmitter was activated. All Typhon in and surrounding Talos 1 was no more. We saved the day. Sort of. I was never Morgan. They died long ago. I am the special result of sticking a human neuromod in a Typhon rather than the other way around. Dr. Igwe, Sarah Elazar, whoever Danielle was, they didn't exist. We never defeated the coral, it took over the Earth. I was designed to bridge the gap between species. Alex offered me his hand, my tentacle accepted it, and I beat Prey 2017 with only a wrench. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, leave a like. Leave a dislike if you didn't enjoy the video or didn't learn anything. Thanks to the Champion tier supporters as well as other channel members for making videos like this one possible. Join the Mitten Squad Discord by going to mitten.land. Follow me on Twitter @MittenSquad. My name is Paul of Mitten Squad. Have a wonderful day.